Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the City Council meeting of June 2nd, 2014. If you stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we will ask the clerk to read the roll.
Councilmember Schwab.
Here.
Councilmember Hall.
Here.
Councilmember Alcoff.
Here.
Councilmember Ellison. Here. And Mayor Hedges.
Here. Thank you. Moving on to the agenda. Any additions or corrections to the agenda tonight?
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
I will second.
Been moved and seconded to support the agenda as provided to us. All in favor? Yes. Any opposed? Approval of the minutes of our May 19th meeting. They're in the packet there. Any additions or corrections?
I move that we approve the minutes of our regular meeting.
I will second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of May 19th. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Accounts payable are item number 4 in the packet once again for review. Any questions?
I move that we approve the accounts payable as presented.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the accounts payable. For this, we would ask for a roll call.
Councilmember Schwab.
Yes.
Councilmember Hall.
Yes.
Councilmember Alcoff.
Yes.
Councilmember Ellison.
Yes.
And Mayor Hedges.
Yes.
Item 5 is citizen comments for any items that do not appear on the agenda. So if you'd like to address the city council, this would be the time to do it. And we'd ask that you limit your comment to about 5 minutes.
Point of order.
State your name.
All right. My name is Dave Mortimer, and I'm speaking on behalf of the group Citizens in Support of Fiber.
Could you please spell your last name for me?
Yes, Mortimer. Okay. For every part of our modern lives, we depend critically on how information is delivered from our homes, businesses, and government agencies. For some quick numbers, 97% of consumers use the internet to shop locally. 72% of adults with internet access utilize social media to interact and communicate with friends and family, and over 60% of Americans receive their primary news from an online source. Banks use internet to transfer funds, doctors' offices use it to send and receive important medical files, and schools and universities utilize the internet for research purposes and to collaborate with other schools. The internet is our greatest communication invention to date and needs our protection from private agencies that are trying to treat it as a common luxury instead of as a necessary infrastructure investment. Today, I'd like to talk to you about creating a municipal fiber optic network for the city and the surrounding townships, and I'd also like to discuss the economic and educational benefits to the community if we were to run a publicly owned fiber to the home network. I sent an email to all of City Council with 2 attachments. I believe you already have one of them printed off in front of you right now. That one is a Word document detailing the technical benefits of fiber over the current copper and coaxial infrastructure that's in place. The second document is significantly longer. It is 75 pages. It's a very detailed, very long report on the implementation, organization, and success of 3 municipal fiber optic networks, one in Chattanooga, Tennessee, one in Bristol, Virginia, and the other in Lafayette, Louisiana. Fiber bandwidth would put our city on the national map as a technology hotspot. We'll attract numerous information technology-related entrepreneurs, establish software companies, and many other businesses that see value in utilizing high bandwidth access to enter the growing digital marketplace. OptiNet, which is the fiber optic network located in Bristol, Virginia, they report that they gained the city over $50 million in new private investments. The OptiNet itself generates over 2,000 high-paying jobs and has a payroll of greater than $37 million. The influx of high-skilled workers to the area with more disposable income boosted local businesses and contributed to a stronger local economy. In Chattanooga, Tennessee, they laid their fiber right alongside their already existing municipal electric company. They put down 170,000 smart meters and 1,500 smart switches, so they're able to, during an emergency, reroute any electrical in order to mitigate downtime. They have reduced the smart grid cut power outages by over 40% and is estimated to generate over $300 million of economic benefit to the community over a 10-year period. As for educational, the FCC recently released a report that students who have broadband access in their home high-speed internet have a 7% higher graduation rate than those who do not have high-speed internet. They study more, they watch TV less, and they have better grades. For parents that want to homeschool their children, or have children with learning disabilities, or that are developmentally challenged, remote and network learning becomes a very real and very viable option for them. Personalized lesson plans from educational specialists can be streamed right to the home. Online courses for adults also become more commonplace, which helps to strengthen the skills and knowledge of the existing workforce. Public power agencies, like Lowell Light, are a common vehicle for community broadband investments for a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest ones is financing. Investors trust public power companies to repay their debt and are familiar with the revenue bonds issued by public utilities. All of the three that I mentioned, Bristol, Lafayette, and Chattanooga, all issued revenue bonds secured by their utility asset for substantial portions of their fiber network, as well as federal development grants and internal loans. There are over 100 municipal broadband network, well, over 400 municipal broadband, over 100 municipal fiber networks in the country right now, and only a few of them had to raise taxpayer dollars in order to pay for their networks. Current internet service providers have no interest in upgrading their infrastructure unless it's a last resort. They hold on to natural monopolies where they operate, and there's no incentive to compete or to provide a better product. Their only interest is short-term profit, which makes sense because they're companies and they're not utilities. But ask yourself, would you want a private and profit-driven company regulating how much water you're allowed to drink in your home, or how much electricity you're allowed to use, or how much sewage you're allowed to pump out of your house? There's a good reason why President Lincoln used federal funding to create the Transcontinental Railroad and why Eisenhower created the federal highway system. They successfully predicted the game-changing economic benefits that would come if businesses were allowed to openly transfer their goods along proper infrastructure with no discrimination. A municipal fiber network would be similar. It will focus on the long-term economic health of our community and treat broadband as a utility it is, not as immediate profit, but as a long-term community investment. Fiber networks are a necessary investment to keep our businesses and our local economy competitive and to guarantee that our kids don't get left behind in tomorrow's digital world, while today's digital world. I'm here today to try to help you understand that the current infrastructure is outdated and it's obsolete, and even though you may not realize it, it's economically hurting us. I urge you to invest in the future and to organize and implement a publicly owned fiber-to-the-home network for our community. Thank you for your time. That's all I got. If you have any questions, you have all my contact information, or you could ask now. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Anyone else care to address the council tonight?
Hi, my name is Adam Wesley. I'm here representing people who live on Donna Drive. After this wonderful winter that we had with the snowplow going through, it tore up our road quite a bit. I got some pictures. I guess I don't know if you guys want to take a look at, sort of pass around. These were taken last night.
Sure.
This is where?
Donna Drive. So I moved here a year ago from Grand Rapids. I'm originally from Lansing, where all my family's from. I have family members in automotive businesses, and they have friends and family as well that live on dirt roads. And they say basically it's just like destroying your vehicle eventually over time, wear and tear. Actually, I got my water bill the other day. On the back it says, "Spring has finally arrived, and it's time to start thinking about how rare our little city looks." When I have friends and family that come to town and visit me, they see the wonderful city, then they go to my house and they see the road. And yes, there's multiple ways to get to my road, but you always got to drive down Donna Drive, and you end up going down like a dirt road. Now, I know there's more than just me and a few other people that go down the road, and when they start having vehicle problems, who's going to pay for the suspension issues, the broken ball joints, broken tie rods, stuff like that? We're just looking at getting just a repave over the top. We're not asking for total dig up or anything like that. We just want a little bit of fresh blacktop on top. when I first moved in, they went through and they did a little patchwork. We also got signatures from everybody on the street that would like to see the road repaved, just like the Black Rail. We want to get that too.
Start here with Jeff.
But that's what I'm basically here about, was to try to get the road fixed up a little bit. And like I said, I drove around, and being new to the city for only a year, I love the city. I just want to get one road fixed, just so I'm not gonna have any issues. And I don't want to put that stamp on the city for everybody else that doesn't live here and knows, oh, I'm coming to the city and now I just gotta make sure my car isn't broken for any odd reason because of how bad the roads are. So, other than that is all I have.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So just state your name for the record.
My name is Ryan Peel. I'm the owner of Virgin's Broadband LLC, based out of Virgin's Township in the Lowell area. I'm here to just talk about my business a little bit and how the presentation about the fiber to the home network could impact my company. And then just also talk a little bit about what we've been doing for the Lowell community. One of the things that Mr. Mortimer left out was an important industry, the wireless ISP, the likes of Virgin's Broadband and Mishwave Technologies, who actually is a tenant on one of the towers owned by the city of Lowell. Wireless ISPs perform an important function for rural broadband access all across the country. Virgin's Broadband is a member of WISPA as well as the Lowell Chamber of Commerce, and we were recently awarded a certain award for our capital investment in the Lowell area, which we are very proud of. Over the last 2 years, Virgin's Broadband has been focusing on one mission, and that is to build closer. We understand the importance of bringing broadband closer to people that need it, and I echo the same value statements that Mr. Mortimer brought to the table here about shopping online and economic stability and growth and education and all those things. One of the things that we were actually doing, we submitted plans already to Lowell Township, and I haven't necessarily been in the city of Lowell too active, but we submitted plans to Lowell Township to build 2 towers on some hills south of Lowell, on Overly as well as Buell. There's some beautiful hills there that overlook the town. So we've submitted those plans, and we plan to offer services to businesses in the 10 megabit plus range. So we are making more capital investment, and at the same time, all that money is staying local. This company is run by myself, my wife, and 2 local employees. So that being said, we have, we share the frustration with incumbent providers. They seem to be, the redheaded stepchild, like, well, they've forgotten, about all of us disenfranchised folks here. I can tell you that we go head-to-head with Comcast and AT&T, and it is very difficult to compete, basically because their prices are so low. We basically don't have a presence in the city of Lowell because of that. They cover just about everybody that's here. Now, the outlying townships, that's a completely different story. And that's part of my vision has been to cover the more rural areas and not focus so much on town, just because of the options that already exist. One of the things that we are doing out in the rural area, the more rural areas other than the city, is working on coming up with viable business models for hybrid fiber and wireless networks. So Virgin's Broadband is gaining experience and developing business relationships, as well as everybody in their own home, to understand the need for these services, and then to, from a private sector standpoint, build these services out in a manner that does not undermine the private sector industry that's supporting this community. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else care to address the council this evening? Seeing none, then we'll move on to item 6, our strategic plan and old business report. So, Mark?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. We held a tree planting photo opportunity at the new BP gas station with our board and city staff. So we promoted accomplishments in that way. That was number 2. By the way, you may notice on this report we numbered the various items. We added that numbering system. A little easier to refer to numbers than spelling everything along. And then the last 3 updates are actually on the last 3 items. The rec plan, we presented the first draft to Parks and Recreation Commission for review. The next step will be to take their input and incorporate that into the next draft. On the Riverwalk Stage Showboat Plan, the stakeholders group has agreed on a final concept for recommendation to the City Council, which is scheduled for your next meeting. So you will be seeing a recommendation at your next meeting, the presentation. And then Downtown Core Trail Connector, the Lowell Area Recreation Authority is preparing a recommendation for the River Valley Rail Trail Connector, which will be discussed in this meeting on June 11. One thing I might add, kind of going back up, the Downtown Development Plan, I said that the kickoff meeting was scheduled for May 30. At the time of the writing, it was scheduled for May 30, but that actually occurred last Friday. Very good kickoff meeting. I don't know if Councilmember Ellison wants to add to that. But I think we have a game plan in place, and the schedule has us going through the summer and early fall with a, right now, presentation to the DDA the first week of December. So,
Sounds about right. Very similar to the showboat, how we approach that. So it was a great meeting.
yeah.
Very well organized.
And we did have discussion on parking and going and making sure that we go into an in-depth analysis on parking. I know the council has expressed that in the past, and we will make sure that that is a part of the plan as well. And that's all I have.
Questions or concerns for Mark on these items? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 7, 7A, Lowell Police Officers Association Letter of Understanding.
We've successfully negotiated an agreement with the Lowell Police Officers Association to maintain the current health insurance policy. I think I had updated you a couple times before that we were looking at different options. Our concern at the time was that our current policy was no longer going to cover retirees. And so we started looking at options and started negotiating with the Lowell Police Officers Association, and partly because we also had a reopener clause in that contract for health insurance only. At sort of the last minute, we were notified that our current policy would cover retirees, at least for another year. And so what we negotiated with the Police Officers Association was to maintain the current plan and to have a reopener for health insurance again next year. So what is before you is a letter of understanding to that effect with the Police Officers Association.
Thank you. I think there's any questions? We've got some recommended actions here.
I will move that we approve the letter of understanding with the Lowell Police Officers Association.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to endorse the letter of understanding. All in favor? Yeah. The next was the resolution. I know that there was a resolution in here.
That's the next one.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Thank you for bearing with me. Now for the resolution one, item B, fireworks ordinance.
And actually, technically, it's an ordinance, and so it will require a roll call vote, but it also has to remain on file with the city clerk for 10 days following, it has to be published, and then 10 days following publication before it actually becomes effective. This ordinance is something that we talked about last year, and I apologize that spring got away from us pretty quickly. We wanted to have a little bit more discussion before 4th of July, and I guess we're still having it before the 4th of July. And if it's something that we need to table and come back to, we certainly can. But you recall last year, the last couple of years actually, because of the change in state law and the additional fireworks that are allowed in the state of Michigan, we were receiving a lot of complaints about people lighting them off at all hours of the day, all hours of the evening, various days throughout the week, weeks leading up to the 4th of July, weeks leading up to other holidays. And we went through that for a couple of years. I think last year, Chief Buckel was going to share some of the statistics with you, but last year may have been a little bit lighter in terms of complaints. And there's no way to predict what the future might hold. But I know that the council was interested in perhaps adopting an ordinance that would set some limitations on when fireworks actually could be lit within the city limits. And also some limitations in terms of how close you could be to somebody else's house or things like that. So that's what this ordinance does. It follows the state law in the sense that it only allows fireworks to be lit on national holidays, on the day before the national holiday, and on the day after the national holidays. And the actual holidays are listed in here, and those are New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, Washington's birthday, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day. Other than those holidays, the day before and the day after, fireworks would be, if you adopted this ordinance, fireworks would be prohibited in the city of Lowell. It's important to know, though, that we're talking about what are defined as consumer fireworks as opposed to low-impact fireworks. Low-impact fireworks are sparklers and ground, and it's defined as ground and handheld sparkling devices. So we still do sparklers, and basically what I would call kid-friendly fireworks are still allowed at any time. But the things that go up in the air and the things that go bang, that can cause some concern from folks when they happen at 1 o'clock in the morning. Those would be the things that would impact it. There's also some language that talks about sale, and the sale has to be done according to state law, which is sort of, we're re-emphasizing state law. There's also a requirement that if there is going to be the sale of fireworks, then they'd have to follow zoning and any other local ordinances, and so that's fairly consistent with state law. The resolution the ordinance that is before you, we put in your packets the copy of the Hudsonville ordinance. That was the model that we were going to recommend. I gave you the actual Lowell ordinance language, and the language is exactly the same with 2 exceptions. The exceptions are at the very end on page 4 of the new ordinance, the publication and the effective dates. Those 2 sections, for whatever reason, are switched. The effective date comes before the publication requirement in the Hudsonville ordinance. And then in ours, the publication actually refers to the Lowell ledger, specifically it refers to the Lowell ledger. So those are the only 2 differences. Otherwise, the rest of it is exactly the same as the Hudsonville ordinance. We did have some discussion about recommending the Rockford ordinance to you. The Rockford ordinance has in it what's called the City Manager Michael Young clause, which is, in addition to national holidays, fireworks could be lit on a day that the Lions win the football game. I thought about, actually, being a Lions fan that I am, adding the City Manager Mark Howell clause to this, but I think we'll let it go, at least this time. But that's it. As I said, the ordinance follows state law, and I think I'll hand it over to Steve right now to maybe talk to you a little bit about the statistics in terms of complaints that we received over the last few years since state law was changed.
In 2012, we took a total of 37 firework complaints, and the majority of those were, 23 of them were right around the 4th of July holiday. Something as many as 5 a day, 4 or 5 a day. Last year, we only took 20, however, 17 of those were within the weeks before and right around the 4th of July holiday. So that is the consistency. Even though they did drop off, the majority of those complaints are right around the 4th of July holiday. Thus is why we were trying to get this in now. Any other questions on that?
The complaints about the hour?
The hour, 2012, we had 5 of them after midnight, and last year we had 2 of them after midnight. Now, when I spoke with the city attorney, the state law does not address the time, which I made the analogy, you can't mow your lawn at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you can light off fireworks at 3 o'clock in the morning. We have a local ordinance, 1362, that addresses noise. We would issue a citation on that. One consistency that we did find statewide is that if somebody's lighting fireworks off that late, there's usually alcohol involved, and that actually involves the state law, which would have more teeth than our city ordinance. So we have a couple other things that we can work with after midnight, but this would at least address the 4th of July holiday and keeping it right around those 3 days.
So most of those complaints were that they were lighting them off other days than the day of, the day before, or the
Correct.
day after.
That is correct.
The noise ordinance, 1362, that's got hours set with it.
That is that's the existing ordinance that we have. The city attorney did feel that we can use that, but we may be challenged on that due to the state law could supersede that city ordinance. So there is something in the legislature right now, and I don't know exactly what the status is. They were talking about adding some times to this, and that may have been tabled. I got a call into Lisa Lyons, and I've not heard back yet on where that stands.
Any questions?
I mean, how easy is this to enforce? You hear, if somebody calls and complains, my neighbor just lit off a firework.
Right
I mean,
now, we're not enforcing it because of the state
Right.
law. Once we have this in place, then we will take some enforcement.
In your opinion, do you think it would be easy to enforce, or is it going to be hard, difficult to enforce this?
I don't believe it's going to be difficult. We do get complaints at all hours of the days, and I have the hours and dates for the last 2 years. I just started the May statistics for this year, and we did have a couple fireworks complaints come in, but I don't have those exact numbers for you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Is there a motion?
I will move for adoption of the ordinance as presented.
Yes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Thank you. Any further discussion?
Not to be a stick in the mud, but I guess, I like the way this is laid out, but I would like to see a copy of it where it actually has those changes you spoke about, but also for the city of Lowell too. I just prefer to be able to see it.
I'm sorry, it was at your spot.
I think the page under the page between.
No?
Under your packet.
Oh, there it is. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't see that.
I would like a little bit more time to think about it too. Like, this is another one of them things that, you know, that it's my pet peeve that I don't like things dropped on me on the day. And I wasn't on the council last year, so I didn't know that we were having any problem with it. One of the reasons that I don't like the 3-day, maybe the 3-day on every day, but the 4th, or every holiday, but the 4th of July, but if the 4th of July falls on Wednesday and normal people have to work, there are going to be some people that get to shoot off their fireworks and have their parties, but most of the parties are the weekend before, the weekend after. And I can see where, I know that there's people out there that do this, but it is coming down in numbers. And he said that the state is working on something, and I don't see why there's such a, if there was such a great need, this should have been done months ago so that we could get some more input. But I just don't have enough input to make a decision today on it. But that's up to the rest of it.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
So if we approve this, then it goes in the paper, and then when people come to complain,
Yep.
I guess I would just like to get some input from the public. I know it's a safety issue. We have state laws in place for the safety issue, but if this is what we want for our community, it'd be nice to hear from people. Maybe put it on the website. I know there in the newsletter we just said, can you do this? And there was a little bit about the fireworks and that we were working on it. Have you received any comments from people from the newsletter saying, oh good, you're working on it, I can't stand the fireworks, or don't do it, I love the fireworks, anything?
I don't know if police would have received those comments, but let me back up a little bit too and make sure that it's clear to you that this is not something that if you have a little bit of discomfort with it, if any of you have a little bit of discomfort in doing it right away, it's a timing issue because of 4th of July. But if we need to put it off, it's not something that I think is essential that we do right now. There's going to be two sides to it, just like there are at everything. The group that is complaining that we're hearing about with the fireworks going off at all days during the week and various hours, they're the group that is going to want to see us adopt something like this, but you're also going to have, just like we have with every issue, you're going to have the other group who is going to say, hey, 4th of July happens to fall on a Friday this week, so it would be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So this year might not be as much of an issue, but you're right, if it did fall on a Wednesday, and I can't have my 4th of July party until the Saturday before, the Saturday after, well, now I can't do that. Now I can't have that in the city. So that's also a consideration as well. But again, this is one of those that we were getting the complaints last year, we were getting the complaints the year before, and there was a lot of discussion from council about, we really ought to do something on the fireworks ordinance, but it wasn't until, I think, the meeting right before the 4th of July last year. And then this year, I'll admit that the time got away from us a little bit. And all of a sudden now we're facing our 4th of July coming up in just a little bit over a month. And we wanted to at least get something in front of you and see whether or not it was an ordinance that you truly wanted to move forward with. But if you don't, then let's hold off. And we can study it a little bit more, we can take a little bit more input, knowing that the 4th of July is coming, and it'll probably be a good time to talk about it.
Okay.
One more comment, is it possible, the first year with so many complaints, I mean, it's a novelty, we're just able to do this in the state thanks to our governor. So is it possible the first year everybody's been dying to do this, and so maybe it would be less each year because it's not such a novelty? Harvey?
I'm looking at it from that perspective
I don't
too,
know,
but
that's true.
when I go 2 weeks before the 4th of July and right around the 4th of July holiday, that number is fairly consistent.
Is it?
It's-
Okay.
Well, it was 23 the first year and 17 last year. And it's just a matter of, that was 2 weeks before the 4th of July, both accounts that I did. So my guess is it's going to be pretty much the same this year right around 4th of July.
Thanks for putting all those numbers together. Sounds like you went into a lot of detail to give us that information. Appreciate that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. What's council's pleasure? do we wish to,
My motion still stands.
still stands? Okay. So we have a motion and a second.
Procedurally, you could either vote it up or down, or if it was a discussion that you wanted to hold off on, you thought the majority of the council was leaning that way, you could, somebody could move to table it.
I move we table it.
Second.
I moved and second to override the motion, and
It just tables it.
it just tables it. All right.
And that'll tell you where everybody's at.
There we go.
Okay. So we have a motion to table. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed?
No.
We got 3. Motion to table is defeated. Motion to approve this resolution,
Ordinance.
ordinance as a resolution.
It would require a roll call
Would
vote.
you call, a roll call vote, so I'd ask the clerk.
And you still have an opportunity for more discussion if you want to.
I think we have.
I'm clearly not seeing what I need to see here, but there was a mention, Chief mentioned about a day before, the day of, and can you identify where that area is, because I'm not seeing it. I'm sure it's here, but
10.64, use of consumer fireworks, except as otherwise provided in this chapter, a person may ignite, discharge, or use consumer fireworks in the city on the day preceding, the day of, or the day after a national holiday.
technically we're giving people more opportunities, we're giving them 10 opportunities to do this. 30 days out of the year.
30 opportunities.
Yes.
I mean,
And that's state law.
State law says that you may limit the use of fireworks with the exception of what is included in the ordinance. So these are the exceptions to when you can limit them. You can limit them, you can be more broad, if this sounds right, you can be more broad in your limitations. You could say 5 days before the 4th of July and 5 days after the 4th of July, for example. So you could allow the use of fireworks on a broader scale. You could allow it at other times throughout the year up until a certain time. You just can't create time limits on these national holidays for these 30 opportunities. So you could broaden the use of fireworks if you want to. This is the greatest limitation that's allowed under state law.
If I may comment, I just think that this helps out our police department when people sometimes are inconsiderate and irresponsible, and this helps the police department correct that situation. Nothing more, nothing less.
I would just like to see maybe at least the 4th of July, that it get widened a little bit farther to cover that time of the year, because I do think it's an important time of the year when people celebrate, and it is only a week, or so out of the year, and it is summertime. And I know that there is inconsiderate people, but here we are, we're making a rule because of a few.
Well, that's
And
kind of our
and we're-
job.
And we're doing it without any other public input. We're just doing it right tonight. We didn't ask for any public input about it. We didn't have, we're just doing it. And I think maybe if it would have been publicized a little bit, maybe we would have had a couple of people here. If we didn't, then I guess I would have to agree with you. But I just think that it's sort of quick, and I just need a little more time to think about it. I just want to make that clear.
Thank you. Any other comments?
having lived in a place where fireworks are set off at multiple times of the year, this could potentially open up a number of times. I mean, I understand the state law, but I'm also saying by printing it here, 30 days of fireworks is allowed. Having lived in Kauai, where they light them off for a week before,
New Year's, and then the week after. I mean, it's a lot of days. Just pointing that out.
Okay, if we're good, then ask the clerk to read the roll.
Councilmember Schwab,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Altough,
No.
Councilmember Ellison,
Yes.
and Mayor Hodges.
Yes. Okay, motion passes 4-1. Thank you. Moving on to council comments, Mr. Alton.
We had some nice weather. I do want to comment on Donna Street. I didn't know that they had a petition going on it, but it is one of the streets that I've had the most complaints about, but Jefferson is right up there. But that's something that we do have to consider when we're fixing streets, that sometimes we tend to fix ones that other people don't understand why we fix them. They're them streets first, and the people in that subdivision pay the same taxes as everyone else. And I do think we need to concentrate a little bit more on the west side of town, just to make them feel a little better over there. And I know that a lot of people think that because we fixed Bowes Road that's on the west side of town, but a lot of people still don't understand that Bowes Road is a major street, local street, and that there's other funding that we use to do that. And the local streets are all done with the tax dollars. So I haven't had any meetings, but one question that I do have is the sidewalk inspection. Is it for this year? Is that ready to be done?
Inspection is complete. The list is being put together so that we can send letters out. So letters will be going out soon.
Thank you. That's all I have for you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Schwab.
Nothing to report. Life is good.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hall.
Nothing in regards to the commissions that I'm representing. But I would like to say to the community that Riverwalk North, where the new amphitheater area is really nicely done, and skateboarders are ripping the livings out of it. We have a skateboard park. I realize that it's a ways away. But if you see somebody destroying property, whether skateboarding in that particular park or anywhere, take a picture of them with your cell phone. Send that picture to the police department and let them know about it. Because we've spent a lot of money there, and it's for the community, not skateboarders. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Allison.
Well said, Mr. Hall.
Thank you.
Also, the dogs without leashes or dogs that are not, cleanup is not proper. We've had a few issues of that, and throwing things in the river that shouldn't be. So if anybody wants to report something like that, that would be appreciated as well. Nothing new to report on the boards. I did have to say on the Memorial Day parade and all the ceremonies were amazing. They were all over the local news channels, so Lowell was featured in that, and pretty proud of how everything turned out. Glad to be part of it.
Thank you. Well, Light and Power will meet next week, as well as the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, so nothing to report lately there. Wick Memorial Fund did meet, and they are courting and doing some discussion with the Grand Rapids Foundation to see about where money might be placed or better invest, and or the advantages of working with the Grand Rapids Foundation. So we're pursuing some information on that. A couple of nice newsletters. One appeared in my water bill. the city newsletter, and then in my electric bill, I got the Sizzling Summer Concert Series agenda. So those things kick off, those various concerts kick off on June 12th. So looking forward to that and a wonderful summer of music. And seems like we're, Dave Thompson again with the Memorial Day whole project. I thought that went very well. It was terrific to have our friends from Sunfield up here and showing us the way it used to be done with those muskets. So thank you to Dave and everyone involved with that particular program. And again, I put Lowell on the map, and we should be proud of that. So with that, the manager's report.
Thank you. The Lowell Area Historical Museum is planning to place more historical markers. They're on a program, I think, a 5-year plan to put 4 markers up each year. They put markers up along the Riverwalk last year. Those markers were very popular. And now they're looking at near the entrance to the Riverwalk, near Tool 6 Main, and overlooking the Flat River Dam. So they did a walkthrough with Dan and I, and we talked about those locations, and I think you'll see those go up fairly soon here. We've also been having conversations with the building inspector about ADA requirements for downtown buildings. Ran across it in a particular construction project, and it's this really tough balance because you have the federal law where buildings have to be accessible and commercial buildings have to be accessible, and at the same time we have a historic district downtown, and sometimes it's, and this is the key phrase, technically infeasible to implement all of the accessibility requirements that are required in the federal law. And so you've got those two things competing a little bit, and we're trying to find the best of both worlds to try to maintain the historical character of our downtown, but also making it open and friendly for those with disabilities so that they can access our downtown businesses too. So we've been having that discussion. I think we'll have more of that discussion as part of the downtown development plan, and figure out again how we can meet the best of both worlds. A couple of other things. You had mentioned skateboarders, and I can tell you that at least one citation was issued last week, and I do know that police are watching the area and watching all areas where skateboards are particularly not allowed. This community, I think, did a wonderful job of putting together a skate park several years ago. Perhaps there will be renewed interest in maybe looking at some additions to that park, or adding some elements that would be more of a challenge. I know that's what the skateboarders talk about. But in the meantime, we really need to get the word out to them that we can't destroy some of these wonderful things that we spent a lot of money on, the benches and the picnic tables and the railings and things like that on our new Riverwalk. So again, got to find the best of both worlds. Also, the last thing I'll mention is in your minutes, you'll see that resolutions that you've adopted are being circulated as part of the minutes. Please take a look at those resolutions, make sure that, sort of be our double check to make sure that that's actually the resolution that you adopted, so we don't run into any problems in the future. And I also want to thank Deputy Clerk Sue O'Leary for implementing that change in the process. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Moving on, item 10 is appointments. There's a number of appointments there for your review. I would like to, I'll be contacting these people and looking at nominating these folks for renewals at our next meeting. So with that,
I move that we go into closed session for union negotiations and personnel.
I'll second.
been moved and seconded to go into closed session for union negotiations as well as personnel. For this meeting, a roll call vote, I believe. So.
Councilmember Schwab?
No.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilmember Altough?
Yes.
Councilmember Ellison?
Yes.
Mayor Hodges?
Yes. Thank you very much.